All right guys, on today's episode of AWE Paints, we're doing Type R stuff. All right, like I said, we're doing Type R things today. We got a bunch of boxes, few boxes of parts. Got a new downpipe here. I have a cooling plate. I have a turbo inlet down there. I have a new intake, which is in this box. I'll show you that later. But all of this stuff is from PLM. If you guys don't know PLM, private label manufacturing, they are an American company that makes parts for these cars. They make parts for Type Rs, 10th gen Civics, Subaru WRXs, a ton of different models. And they're affordable. As you guys probably know, I'm a dad. I'm balling on a budget, and I can't afford to have a $3,000 downpipe or crazy APR wing. I just can't. I can't afford that stuff. So we're doing this with these parts. They are cost effective. This is a Catted version 2 downpipe from PLM. I went with Catted because, again, I'm a dad. I drive this car. Just like the exhaust that I put on this. You guys on YouTube probably haven't seen, but I did put an AWE track with the touring pack, so I have the option to put the touring muffler on and quiet it down for road trips and things like that. And after this downpipe, we're gonna see how much louder this thing gets. But let me kind of explain what we're going to do here. Okay, since I basically have to remove this intake, this turbo inlet, anyway, to get to the downpipe, I figured, you know what, we're just going to replace both of those. I bought this intake used, and the only thing that like we splurged on here was the intake. So in this box, this PLM's carbon intake, this beautiful piece. Okay, this is actual carbon. Like you can see the weave inside. See their little PLM nameplate. Real carbon. So I think this is going to look a lot better in the engine bay, especially when paired with the turbo inlet that they have. And this is kind of one of those dress up parts, right? Obviously it's going to flow better than the stock part, but it's also going to dress up the engine bay significantly. So I'm pretty excited about that. Get that thing installed at the same time. So if you guys have like a suggestion on an intercooler for this car that you really like, I was kind of leaning towards like maybe the 27-1 or the HKS. Just, I want a bolt-on simple solution just to keep things cool, because this one does heat soak. Even just how I have it set up right now, I've noticed pretty good heat soaking when it's anything above 80 degrees. You do a couple of pulls and you're definitely losing boost because it's just too hot. But anyway, without talking too much, what I need to do to start, I need to remove this intake, this turbo inlet, and get access to this heat shield and remove like my O2 sensors, things like that. To get the heat shield out, get that factory downpipe out. It looks like it's gonna be a pain in the butt. I'm gonna just get to it. All right, so quick progress update. Obviously the intake is off, turbo inlet is off, and this gives us a better view of what the heck's going on. But essentially, now I need to remove the heat shield, the O2 sensors, and then I'm gonna have access to the downpipe bolts. But essentially what I'm gonna do though is I'm gonna get this heat shield off. I've already soaked these in PB. I'm gonna probably do the same thing with the downpipe bolts, because I'm not trying to break a stud. I seen a video of a guy doing a downpipe swap and broke the stud and was just fighting it tooth and nail. I don't wanna do that, so I am going to soak them. Probably go to lunch and come back once they've soaked for a while. And in this whole process, there's one thing that you guys need to make sure that you have, especially if you're removing the turbo inlet pipe, and that's a magnetic socket. These guys right here. I have just this Matco set, and they've got just a little magnet inside there, because if you look at the way this sits on the car, you see the bolt right there? You gotta use 1/4 inch, it's a 12 millimeter. And if you literally use just this setup, so a 1/4 inch ratchet, 1/4 inch extension, and a 1/4 inch magnetic socket, you'll be able to get this in and out fairly easily. Because honestly, heaven forbid we drop anything down in the vast dark hole that is the turbocharger. And I'm feeling just the turbo shaft right now, just minimal minimal movement, smooth spin. This turbocharger's still healthy, so we're not doing that yet. Maybe one day, maybe one day. But I'm gonna get back to disassembly. I'm gonna get this downpipe out, show you guys what that looks like once I get the heat shield and O2 sensors off. All right, and the last little part that I took off there was the O2 sensors. This little kit from Matco, I borrowed this from my body man. SS3K. This has all of the necessary O2 sensor sockets in it, but essentially this is the one that you need. Little wire slides in there, you slide this on, and then you just put a 3/8 ratchet on it, break it free. This one, SS3K-01, if you want just this. It's a 7/8 or a 22 millimeter for those O2 sensors, both pre-cat and after cat. All right, so the only thing that we need to do under here, as you can see, I already have a front pipe. I need to take these 3 bolts off the front pipe, and then I have 2, you guys can't even see it, but 2 extremely rusty bolts in here that I'm probably going to break off and be running to Ace Hardware to find replacements, because these are gross. And that is the big nasty factory downpipe with huge catalytic converter. So that really wasn't that bad. The only thing that's going to suck is I do have to get these brackets off and install them on the other one. The new one came with new studs, so I don't have to reuse these studs. But yeah, what do you think? I think we're gonna have to grind this off.
Yeah, I think so.
That's probably gonna be the safest bet, just grind them off. So that way I can get the brackets off and mount the new one. So yeah, that's really not that bad. I don't know what all the videos, all the fuss was about, as long as you use the right tool. So that's a wobble extension, 1/2 inch. Milwaukee. The Milwaukee was the only thing that would touch the bolts and the studs up here. We tried an air impact, that just would not even touch it. The Milwaukee was the only way. So I have a good 1/2 inch impact. And yeah, I mean, the front pipe is already AWE, so the boys had already done that for me, so it was already broken free and ready to rock. So now it's just install the downpipe, put the new gaskets in, and yeah, we should be good. So nobody has this in town. The Honda dealer wants $116 for a brand new one, and if you look at this one, like, there's nothing inherently wrong with it. It's not broken, it's not, we're gonna reuse it. If it fails, I'll fix it later, but it's just a part of it, you know what I mean? I want to get this car on the road today. Honda said 2 business days and almost $120, including shipping. I ain't got time for that. We are just gonna reuse and roll the dice. I don't typically like doing this, but you know, I don't see a point in spending $120 when this one does actually look okay. Now let's look at the differences between the factory downpipe, big huge catalytic converter right there, in the aftermarket little high flow cat. Now here's what I don't know. It did come with a defouler. This right here, it's kind of like an O2 sensor extension. I don't think I need to run this because it's catalyzed. I'm gonna just go ahead and not use this defouler to start. If I have an issue, I have it ready to go. But basically, I'm gonna get this thing slid down into place, bolted back together, and yeah, we'll just get on with the process. All right, so O2 sensors are on. This is connected to the front pipe. All I need to do is put the O2 sensor bracket in, and then it's going to be turbo inlet time. That's going to be the fun one because, like I said, that other bolt is way the hell down in there. We're gonna use that magnetic socket, get it threaded, get it started, and then we can do the carbon intake. And then it's sound test time and test drive time. All right, so I got this inlet piece on. One thing that I kept reading time and time again is how much of a pain this is to put in. It's really not that complicated, guys. There are 2 12s, like I had showed you on the factory piece. Literally all you need is this. Get a magnetic socket. It makes it so much easier. You can just thread it in, no problem. Yes, I know that the bottom one is kind of down between some things, but if you use 1/4 inch, you have plenty of room to tighten that up. And then as far as fitment of this piece, it lines up perfectly with my wiring harness. Like, all the bolt holes are spot on. Everything so far this is very, very straightforward, very easy to do. You just need a basic set of tools. And honestly, 1/4 inch, if you guys are just going to do this inlet, you could get just a 1/4 inch set of tools, say the Harbor Freight they sell that whole set of every 1/4 inch and extensions that you need. That's all you need to put this in. It's that easy. And now all I need to do is I need to bolt this wiring harness to this inlet, and then we're going to slip this guy over it, connect this pipe, bolt these 2 crossovers to it, and then install the carbon intake, and we're just about done, ready to start up. All right, unfortunately I did have to go and make a Napa run. Thankfully it's right down the street, but you can see the size comparison here. I needed the bigger one. I don't know why they don't have the correct size in the kit, but this bigger one fits right on there. Actually, it needs to go this way. And now I can just slot this into the box like I should have been in the first place, and now tighten this clamp up and we're good to go. You need 103 to 127 is the hose clamp size that you need for this filter and this carbon intake. So PLM, if you guys are watching, just swap out, just include one of these 103 to 127s in this kit, and it's perfect. Now the challenge is going to be getting the silicone coupler onto the air intake and having it all be jiving. So let me fight with that for a second. All right, that is in. I did have to trim the silicone coupler just a little bit, just the combination of the turbo inlet and this carbon intake. You take, you know, about a 1/2 inch here and a 1/2 inch there. Everything from that point went fairly smooth. Everything bolts basically in the factory location. You've got your 2 here, your rubber grommet on the bottom post, and then a 10 back here. This thing is rock solid, filters inside and covered. Yeah, all of this looks absolutely phenomenal. Downpipe is on, connected to the AWE, so I mean there's nothing left but to get a sound clip of this thing, and I mean let's do it. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my microphone off here and I'm gonna stick it to the back of the car, like so. This is my first time hearing it just like you guys, so let's see what it sounds like. All right guys, so it is a couple days later. I ended up getting all of these parts installed, and I wanted to run through, excuse the plane overhead, but I wanted to run over a couple of things now that I have all of this installed. As far as this turbo inlet pipe, this fit fantastic. The hardest part of this whole install with this carbon box was this silicone coupler. You've seen in the previous little section of this video, I was struggling with this and couldn't figure out why I couldn't get it fit in here correctly. Contacted PLM, and they basically made me aware that this is made to trim, okay? This is designed to fit pretty much any intake on the market, so there is going to be some trimming involved, which once I was aware of that and I started trimming it to fit, this thing actually fits pretty dang nice. It does take a little bit of finagling just to get this set up correctly, but now that it's set up, I absolutely freaking love it. This just dresses up the engine bay like crazy. Honestly, like, that's one of my favorite parts. Also, this carbon intake is absolutely freaking beautiful. And I feel like this versus the Takeda that I did have, this one is a lot louder. Like, I'll show you a sound clip here in just a second. But this box, I mean, it just sounds incredible. I also went ahead and used my Hondata and got this thing reflashed, all set up. Downpipe is working excellent. I ended up just deleting the secondary O2 down there because even with the high flow catalytic converter, it still was popping engine lights. I finally got that sorted out with the Flash Pro. So now let's just go for a drive and check it out. And one other part that I did install, but I just filmed a social media video for it, was the Precision Works shifter box for the FK8 and the Civic Si. This shifter, I am not gonna lie, it's 250 bucks, right? And I mean, for a budget shifter, this feels incredible. I'm super stoked with it. Really happy with the price of it, and it thing sits just slightly higher than stock. It is adjustable up and down. You could honestly make it sit up here if you wanted to, but I'm pretty happy with where I've got this position currently. So yeah, without talking too much, let's go for a spin. And of course, I forgot a head mount, so we are just gonna hold on to this thing as best we can. I also added the touring rear section to the exhaust back here. So with the track edition rear section, it was a whole lot of noise, a lot of drone. Even with the Catted Downpipe, it was just a lot. With the touring rear section on this AWE, I don't know what kind of wizardry they do, but it's really mellow. Unless you get into it, then it's equally as loud. So it works perfectly for me, somebody that drives this car a whole lot. I just want it to be mellow and I want it to be enjoyable. So, but yeah, I'll get out here on the road, give you an intake sound clip, because this intake box is a heck of a lot louder. Hopefully you guys can hear it. All right, let's see if we can't get an intake sound clip. It is so much louder. Yeah, God, this thing sounds absolutely perfect now. Honestly, the Type R sounds so aggressive now. Like 10 out of 10 would recommend this setup. That PLM Catted Downpipe, I was a little nervous going catted. I've had catless before. I just didn't want it to be, you know, too mellow. It's not. It's just the perfect amount of sound. And with the touring, it honestly tames it just enough. So it's daily driverable. Like, I could probably hop on the highway and it's perfectly manageable. It's not overly loud, especially with the windows up. I mean, you can hardly notice it. But all right, guys, I'm gonna set you guys up here on the tripod. We'll get some sound clips of this thing. All right, guys, and that concludes today's mods on the FK8 Type R. If you guys enjoyed this video, please let me know down in the comments, like, share it with your friends. If you guys need parts for your FK8, your BMW, your Subaru, pretty much anything, you guys can go down to the description of this video, check out PLM. You guys can use code OLI at checkout. It'll knock some money off your next mod. Plans for this, I know you guys are probably waiting on a paint job. We are working on the color, okay? That's one of those things that, like, I have to absolutely love it if I'm going to completely disassemble this car and spray it, right? So with that, Tommy and I are brainstorming. We're trying different things, and I think eventually what's going to happen is we're gonna come up with a custom color. You guys won't see it until the car is painted in said color, and then we'll go ahead and make it available on the Spray Source's website for sale if you guys want to buy the same color that I make for the Type R for your project. So stay tuned for that one, guys. And again, huge thank you to PLM for helping me out with this video. I couldn't have done this without those guys. So the team over at PLM, I am eternally grateful for. Yeah, I hope you guys are doing well, and I'll catch y'all in the next video.